Welcome back everybody, I'm Zell, and today we've got something I think is a little special here. We've got a Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight with the FRCP handles, and we'll get more into that here in a minute, but it also has a CPM S110V blade steel. You're going to want to see this one, so why don't you come on in here a little closer and we'll get a look at it. Getting a close look at the Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight with the CPM S110V blade, we can see we have what looks like the FRN handles that you would get on a Delica 4 or an Endura 4. However, they are not. These are FRCP, fiber reinforced copolymer. And what that means is we have an injection molded handle that is harder than the FRN. And that's really not the best way to say it, but it has more structural integrity, tougher stuff. And we'll get into why that's important here in a minute, but looking at it to begin with, we have bidirectional texturing, just like you would find on many of these Spyderco lightweight knives that have the FRN handles. And just like those knives, it's very effective. Gets a good hold on your hand without scratching you up. And since it's a Manix, we have this lock release here that we'll get into here in a minute. We have a Torx head screw for our pivot. However, on this knife, your frame screws are more of a rivet. They're not user serviceable. You will have to send it back to Spyderco if you have any serious problems. So we roll the knife over to the back. Not a whole lot to see here. We have a little bit of jimping molded into the handles here. And it's enough to notice it. It does do some good there. Rolling it on over here, you can see we got a big old lanyard hole right here. And we have the wire pocket clip. I happen to really like these Spyderco wire pocket clips. They're unobtrusive, easy to get in and out of your pocket, and just low profile, and I really appreciate that. As we roll on over to the top, we can see we have our blade here, and it's centered pretty well. And we have a little bit more jimping right down the edges, and some jimping right here. And also jimping up the back of the thumb ramp on the blade, and it's nice jimping. It's pretty grabby without being so grabby it's going to tear your fingers up. Our closed measurements are a length of 4 11/16, a thickness of 0.45, and a height of 1.77. So this is a big boy. It's going to take up a little bit of space in your pocket. However, as we'll get to here in a minute or two, Spyderco kind of makes up for that. When we open the Manix 2 up, we get an open length of 8 inches, a blade length of 3.36 inches, and a cutting edge of about 2.9. Some of your edge here is taken up by your forward finger choil. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Of course, we have our spider hole, and it's about 14 millimeters in diameter. As we roll the knife back this way, I'm going to see if I can get things up here where you can see it. If you look down inside that knife, you see something missing? I sure do. The FRCP that Spyderco is using has enough structural integrity, it's tough enough, that Spyderco doesn't use any liners in the Manix 2. Also, while we're this close in, if you watch that little spring in there, I'm going to push the lock back and you should be able to see the little ball bearing. Just barely. Roll it there. See that little hint of light there? That's your ball bearing that's holding your blade open, the lock. Speaking of the blade, We have a blade stock thickness of 1.26, and it's full flat ground, normal Spyderco there. The interesting thing about this knife is Spyderco chose to put CPM S110V in it, which is definitely one of the super steels. And we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. But as you can see there, that S110V takes quite the nice edge. We've talked about this lock a little bit. Here's how it works. You have this pad here and an identical one on the other side. Put your thumb and index finger there and pull back. That little ball gets out of its slot on the blade and you can close the blade. Now, Spyderco has not left all of us people that want to use the knife one-handed in the dark. You can do that. You can pull those back, put your middle finger in this first finger choil on the blade, give it a little flick, and close the blade. And if you're a Benchmade person, it will flick close with a little bit of wrist action just like a Benchmade. It flicks open as well, and whenever you put your hand around this thing, it's got a big old long handle, but it's very comfortable. And you also have this forward finger choil. And this is another one I don't mind too much. You've got your jimping there, a nice roll to keep you from sticking your finger up in the blade. So this is a finger choil, blade finger choil that works and does what it's intended to do. Okay guys, there's one thing I want to show you on this knife that I am not terribly happy about. If we bring this light in here, see those two marks? Those are molding marks from where Spyderco did the injection molding for these FRCP handles. And they kind of tried to clean them up. They are smooth, they're not rough. But whenever a knife lists for close to $200 and retails over $100, I really think that's a detail that Spyderco should have taken care of. And I seriously considered returning the knife over this. But I'm not going to. I'm going to clean it up myself and just put this out there. If you pick up one of these FRCP knives, there's a good possibility that you may have this. I've read through the forums some, and it seems like it does happen rather often, if not on all of them. Guys, I saved the best for last when it comes to this Spyderco Manix 2 with the FRCP handles. 2.87 ounces. Less than 3 ounces for this big old knife. That is lighter than a Kershaw Leak. It's lighter than most of the knives out there. So you get this big old knife with this CPM S110V blade, and it weighs less than most of the knives that are designed to be light carry pocket knives. And to me, that's just awesome. And because of that light weight, even though this knife is big and it does take up a lot of width in your pocket, if you're wearing pants that have more square pocket, carpenter's pants, tactical pants, even some Dockers, this knife fits fine and doesn't take up too much space. Backside of the knife is nice and smooth except for this little bit of jimping right here. So there's not anything to catch on you. There's no flipper back here. None of those sorts of things. So it is a very carryable knife, even though it is a pretty big knife. And I'm going to try this. I don't know if I'll succeed or not, but I just wanted to show you that it is flickable, just like your Benchmade Griptilians, if I can get that word out there. And you can also treat it like the lockback Spydercos, so your one-handed operation is there. Now, like we looked at in the video, this little deal right here, that bugs me. I'm gonna, now that we've done the video on it, I'm gonna take some sandpaper or maybe some of my fine stones, see if I can clean that up, because I like this knife well enough to keep it, even though that bugs me a lot. When it comes to a blade of this quality, we do have to talk about one last thing, and that's price. Spyderco lists this thing with a suggested retail of about $190. I think it's $189.95, $98, something like that. Most places you can pick it up right now for about $120. It appears it may have become a normal for Spyderco's line, but if you know Spyderco, there's no guarantees in that, but it is in the current catalog. At $120, is it worth it? I'm going to say yes, with some caveats. The FRCP handles, they're great. I've carried this knife for a couple of months, fairly regularly. I've used it semi-hard use, nothing terribly hard, and I've had no issue with it. The S110V blade, that's where you need to make some decisions. As you can see, that blade takes a really nice edge and it stays sharp for a very long time. Now, what I found out over time though is at its hardness level, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's over 60 on the Rockwell scale. It is somewhat prone to chipping. No big chips, just little ones. And depending on what you're doing with the knife, that may be an issue. If you normally are cutting softer materials, even your cardboards and stuff, this blade will hold an edge for a ridiculously long time. With the stock Spyderco edge, I finally gave up and just sharpened it because I wanted it to have a nice mirror edge on there and to be able to shave, all that good stuff. So take that into consideration whenever you're considering the knife. They sell the lightweight in a BD1 steel. I have a knife in BD1, but I haven't used it a whole lot, so I don't know a whole lot about that steel yet. But as with all of our current steels, I'm sure it's great. And it's about $20 to $30 less expensive. Same handle, same FRCP, just a different blade steel. Overall though, guys, I think this knife does warrant its $120 or $30. And if you get a chance to get one, I think you'll be very pleased with it, except for this little spot down here. Anyhow, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by, and you know the drill. Smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and hey, share it with all your friends. And you're really going to want to hit that subscribe button. We got a lot more stuff coming up, and I don't think you're going to miss it. I sure don't want you to miss it. I want us to have a good time doing this, and so far we are. Let's keep it up. Anyhow, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.